I'm Catherine Sutherland.
And I'm Nakia Baris.
We encourage you to watch The Michael Finkley Show on Roku TV
and YouTube. Don't forget to click and subscribe.
If I can make it through the night, just to see a brighter side, 'cause I've been working all my life just to make it, just to make it, just to make it. I've been working all my life.
Hello everybody, welcome to Michael Finkley Show. Thanks for joining us today. So y'all, I'm pondering the thought of these last few shows for season 2, and I always remember and thinking to myself, never forget where you come from. When I was in, college and I would go off and, meet different people, I would always rep where I'm from, the awesome city of Mullins, South Carolina. And so I always remember where I came from. And so in starting this show, I always remember the platform to inform, educate, and inspire. So I never want to forget my roots because they made me the person I am today. So that's my advice to you. Never forget where you came from. I promise you. Stay humble and true to you. If you're that, you will go far in life. Y'all, our guests today are never forgetting where they come from as well. We have the awesome speakers. We have Frank Kitchen and also Jonathan Jones. They're here to tell you a word. I promise you it's the one you don't want to miss. So don't you go away. We'll be right back. Coming up, we have Frank Kitchen. We'll be right back. Next, Finkley. We look back at guests from season 1. What have they been up to? Jamal Stroud, Alderman Vernon R. Matthews, and Marlo Prelo. On the next Michael Finkley, Friday.
Hey everybody, my name is author Vernon R. Matthews Jr. I just wrote a new book called Family Ties, and I also want to say a special shout out to one of the kids that I mentored and has got his own TV show on Roku, Michael Finkley, and this is 100th episode. So if you guys want to really hear about this book and see what's going on, check out Mike Finkley on The Finkley Show.
She is flexible and she is a multitasker. She is a wife, a mom. She is city councilwoman.
When I was growing up, Mom worked outside the house, and so my dad was an entrepreneur. I saw him leaving early in the morning or late at nights to go meet with clients, and he was always one who told me, if you show up on time, you're late.
I just admire how she's able to not only juggle the demands of her jobs, but keep her family really first.
The outstanding thing about the Isaac family is their noble contributions to improving the quality of life for our Colombians and people all over this state.
I, Tamika Isaac, do solemnly swear.
Discharge the duties thereof, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and best wishes.
I first ran because I saw a need, I saw a void that needed to be filled, a voice that wasn't there. And over the last several years, I feel like I've been able to be that voice.
So often as women in whatever spaces that we're in, we are often discounted because we're a mom or we're a wife or we have this career, and she's an everyday woman who shows women what excellence looks like.
She has walked the walk of being a small business person, of being a parent, of sending her kids to school.
Columbia is a great place, and we have done a lot in the last few years as far as law enforcement. But law enforcement can't do everything, nor should it do everything. We have to really expand upon the tools, technology, and community policing, investing in our communities so that law enforcement is a partner with our communities. being a Columbia native, I've seen the way this city has grown. It's grown to the point that sometimes not everybody's been a part of that growth. I want to make sure that communities, specifically communities of color, make sure that they are part of Columbia's present and its future. I want to have a climate plan for this city that not only helps us be sustainable, but also helps provide opportunities for folks in the workforce. There are so many opportunities to take advantage of technology, green energy. I want to be the advocate for growing our city and being on the forefront, not just looking at what other cities are doing and following them, but being the leader.
If you don't have the right leadership, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities.
I think having a woman as mayor of the city of Columbia is long overdue.
I'm Tamika Isaac Devine, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Columbia.
Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Y'all, my next guest, he is a speaker, he's a coach, he is a father, and he is also a husband. It is Frank Kitchen. Frank, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thank you, Michael. I mean, I need to have you be my VOG for my next event, so you can always introduce me, so thank you so much.
Well, you let me know. Let me know, we'll be right there. Oh, wow. I'm excited about this interview. So let's get right into it. So Frank, you were born in Germany.
Yes, sir.
And you were born into a military family. How did this experience prepare you for your current life today?
I told people, like, my current life as a speaker is I travel all around and meet new people. So when I grew up in the military, that was our deal. Every 2 to 3 years, we were moving, going someplace new, and you had to learn to build relationships and connect with new people. So early on, I was quiet, I was shy, and, I didn't like it. And it took me to becoming an adult to recognize when I started to go around people, everybody's like, wow, it's like, you look like you're comfortable, getting in new situations. And I realized, like, hey, it's like I lived in about 15 different places. Mm-hmm. That was my life. So it has actually prepared me for my life now, because I'm always working with new people. I'm always traveling. I'm always connecting. So what I thought was, the worst thing in the world growing up actually turned out to be, something to add to my tool belt to be a strength for me.
Right. I love that. And it's amazing what life teaches us, because life itself is a teacher. And so we have to learn from it, and we have to improve from it as well, if we choose to do so. And that's what you did. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's think about the date of June 17th, 2015. You had lost your job, you had little ones, and something happened, something triggered on that Father's Day weekend. Talk about that.
Yeah, I like to share it on stage with everybody, because, when you're a motivational speaker, leadership speaker, everybody thinks that everything's always gone good for you in your life. And for me, I've been talking for years about becoming this professional speaker. And in 2015, spoke to God, said, hey, you know what? It's like, this is the year. It's like, I'm going to, step out by my birthday, September, and I'm going to be a professional speaker. But, God knew I wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. So June 17th was the weekend, a few days before Father's Day weekend. And I had a 2-year-old son, and my wife was pregnant. She's 6.5 months pregnant with our second child. And I got called into a meeting with my employer. And people say, Frank, it wasn't fired. But I was like, hey, you know what? Let go, downsize, whatever you want to call it. I went to this meeting thing. I was getting a promotion. Yep. And I got given my walking papers. And the thing was, they go, hey, we like you so much. The owners wanted to say tomorrow's your last day, but because we like you so much, we'll give you an extra week. What would you like to do? Well, I'm not expecting to be fired in a Panera Bread company. They took me out to lunch and I got fired at lunch. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm going, like, okay, my wife is under enough stress now being pregnant. It's Father's Day weekend. She's trying to plan this great weekend. And we're going to her parents' house to celebrate Father's Day with her dad. So now I got to go. First, I'll tell my wife that, okay, I have no job. Mm-hmm. Then I got to go to my father-in-law's house and say, hey, guess what? Happy Father's Day. I don't have a job and your third grandchild's on the way. Mm. And that was just like, whoa. But the thing was, recognizing what I'd learned from some friends, people, my network, some of my speaking was like, okay, I need to practice what I preach. Mm-hmm. So that weekend I had lined up a speaking showcase in that town. So I knew like my employer, like I was trying to get out of them. So they cut the cord before I did. So I set up the speaking showcase. And the thing was, my father-in-law for 8 years, he knew me, but he had never seen me really speak live. He'd seen me do some trainings. So my wife goes, why don't you take my dad with you? So I brought him with me, and I'll be honest, I'm like, it's your father's in-law. And your wife is his youngest, so like he's protective, and I'm like, oh great, you don't want to let him down. It's like, okay, I'm a failure because I can't take care of his daughter and his grandkids. So you've got all this going through your mind, and your wife goes, well, hey, you know what, take him with you. So I took him with me. I got a couple hundred people in the room, and I'm speaking. I'm not even paying attention to the audience. I'm just like looking at him, and then he's like nodding his head. He's nodding his head. And he's smiling, and at the end of it, went back to his house that night, brought a couple speakers over him, but he looks at me and he just goes, hey, this is what you're born to do. And I know this is going to be tough, but whatever we can do to help you. So this is the change. The person I needed the validation from said that day, the person I feared telling that I was not going to be working goes, hey, we've got this. We'll help you. And like, it was gift cards, buying diapers, buying foods. Like, hey, we'll help you with this to get us up and going.
Yeah.
And that was the deal. Once I knew that I had his support and then support from my family and friends saying, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and this is what we got. Let's go for it. That faith in the people there had me going. That was almost 6 years ago. And I've been doing this full time ever since.
Oh my word. Oh my word. One word that really stood out in your story, support. Without it, it can sometimes say that we succeed and sometimes we fail, but it is awesome to have, and it keeps us going, gives us strength. Wow, what an incredible story. And it began for you. And so your focus when it comes down to the persons that you work with, you focus on these two particular barriers, mental and physical. Talk about that for us.
Yeah,
why is that important?
It's important because our mental barriers create physical barriers. So where your mind goes, your body will follow. So for years, I had the mental barrier of not really wanting to talk to my friends and people about what I was doing. So then that created physical barriers of starting this career. Then I was working these 9-to-5 jobs with people who really weren't driven people. I wasn't hanging around people like you, Michael. And I realized, oh, wait a second, I'm hanging around the wrong people. And, I'm holding myself back saying, I'm going to wait for the perfect time. This isn't ideal. I don't have the story of fighting cancer. I've never climbed Mount Everest. So I was creating all these barriers in my life. But when you have to look at the eyes of your wife, look at the eyes of your son and realize you got another one on the way, it's like, okay, well, guess what? You got to take care of him. So it's like that allowed me to shift my mindset and go, okay, who do I need to connect myself with? And once again, we talk about the support, and the people in my life who supported me helped me break through these mental barriers. Like people are going like, Frank, I didn't know you were going to be a speaker. If you would have told me, I could have booked you next week, for an event. I'm like, oh, wait. So I started to talk to my friends and I told everybody, hey, I got fired. And like, I hadn't been embarrassed to share that before, but called everybody and say, hey, I'm fired. I need to take care of my family. And everybody goes, oh, what do you want to do? So even for the first couple of months, I drove Uber and Lyft. So I didn't have to worry about a boss. So I could actually do my deal. And then my best friend came and was like, hey, will you come speak at my school district? And another friend's like, well, you're in town, speak here. And within like the first 2 weeks after I got fired, I built out a 1-week speaking tour. Just blew through the barrier. I'm like, hey, there's no safety net now. You got to go for it. And I told my wife, I'm like, give me 1 year to succeed at this. Like I was like, I have half-assed it for the last 8 years. I was like, so let me go ahead and put the full, work into it. So what I speak on is mindset, sharing with people is like, hey, once you can break through those mental and physical barriers, then guess what? You get to live those dreams you hunger for. So I'd hungered for this for years, but I limited myself by the way I thought and the places and the environments I put myself in.
Wow, that's some good stuff. Definitely some good stuff there. Oh, wow. And going back to support, you're building, you're growing. If you have the mindset and to do it, it can happen for you because we speak life and death truly, and it has to come to pass either way. And so within your offerings, I saw this awesome movement that you began, Live Fresh. Please, what is this? Talk about it.
Yeah, so it's called Live Fresh.
Live Fresh, excuse me.
So I call it the I Live Fresh recipe. So my last name's Kitchen, so I had to take ownership of that and have some fun. So, growing up, everybody's like, oh, kitchen, living room, bathroom. They made fun of my name. But the thing was, I recognized that name helps me stand out. And the deal was, and I used to work at places, I used to write a newsletter to my employees and help people, and I'd say, hey, fresh from the kitchen. So when I started to, I was like, so all the information I share with people, right, it's fresh. And you think about it, when something's made fresh in the kitchen, you smell it's good. All you think about is something that's good. So when I was working with my wife and we're putting stuff together, I'm like, hey, it's like, do I talk about fun? Do I talk about this? She goes, well, I like that word fresh. She goes, it's always something positive about you, and you're a positive person. So when I talk about living fresh, I'm saying we're not talking about the positive things that we're going to do in our lives. We are living it. I go, we don't motivate and inspire people by what we say. We do that by how we live. So I share with people, like, when we are living fresh, we are committing our time, our talent, our team, and our treasures to live our dreams while helping others live theirs. So when I say live fresh, that's my diary of what I went through to get to where I am now. So ultimately, and the fresh is just 5 letters that you break it down, but it's the recipe. It's a 5-part recipe. The F is for focus. I lacked focus. So guess what? I didn't produce my dreams. After that, I wasn't resourceful. I complained about all the things that I didn't have versus I should have thought about all the people and the context I had in my life. So once I did that, I became resourceful. I thought about what I do have. Then I had to get enthusiastic. Now, we're never enthusiastic about the work, but we're enthusiastic about the results of the work. So I'm going, oh, if I can take care of my kids, I can feed the family, I can keep the lights on, I get to travel, I get to help people. That made me get energized to go do the work. So you got to be enthusiastic. Then it's tough. I had to stay strong mentally. Where your mind goes, your body follows. So I had to be around other mentally strong people to get through the process. And then the final one was I had to have that come to God, that come to Jesus moment. I had to be honest. That's the H. I had to be honest with myself and say, hey, you know what? I was preventing myself from turning this into something full time. I was complaining. I was blaming. And as my aunt says down there in Somerville, South Carolina, I was remaining. She goes, to complain is to remain. So once I started to live fresh and not talk about it, things just, started to happen. So we've got to live it. So when I say live fresh, it's not only what are you doing for you, because for me, my dream is to take care of my family, but my speaking and my coaching helps other people transform their dreams to reality also. So it's one thing to try doing something for yourself, but when you have somebody else that you're going to be helping, that you're going to pour into, that you're going to mentor, that you're going to support, then guess what? You get this new energy, this newfound, motivation, because now it's not just about you. So I always share with people, how are you using your dream to help others? You have this podcast. Yeah, your name's all in the background, but guess what? All the guests you bring on, what'd you say, 170 plus guests in the last year? You're using your connections, your resources, your treasures of having these connections to let people listen and watch this to transform their lives. So you're living your dream while helping others live theirs.
Oh, why did I meet you like 5 years ago, sir? Oh my gosh, this is some good stuff. And you mentioned the dream, living in the dream. I've heard people say a lot. I'll ask, hey, how are you doing? They're saying, I'm living in a dream. Never knew what that meant until I actually started my consulting firm. And I started this platform. And now I can say that I'm living in my dream. But Oprah always says, too, that God has a bigger dream for us as well. So we have to dream a bigger dream. Frank, what is your biggest dream? What's your next biggest dream?
I mean, it's tough to say that. Like the dream when I first got into this, got into the speaking was, I want to travel. I want to travel. I want to help people. But ultimately, when I first stepped out into speaking, that was the dream. And you talked about bringing God into it. Was success came early. I had people at the airport hold up a sign saying Mr. Kitchen had a presidential suite, and hey, the dream was like, oh, I'm gonna be this rock star. I'm gonna be the next big speaker. But then they got taken away, and I had to go work different jobs and stuff like that. And what happened was, I'm like, okay, maybe speaking wasn't meant for me. But then I'd go out and speak every now and then. And someone would write me an email saying, hey, you know what? I listened to you and I'm not going to quit my job, or I'm going to push through this barrier right now. I thought about committing suicide. I thought about breaking up in this relationship. And I started to recognize, oh, wait. And it sounds funny, but how do you make the world a better place? Or at church, they say, how are you impacting your third place? My big dream now is just to, have a positive impact on everybody I come in contact with. And what's going to happen ultimately is when I'm long and gone, my kids will be here. And if they have kids, their kids will be here. And someone may say, they're going to help my kids, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? I learned this from Frank Kitchen. They might say, hey, that's my dad. So, you laugh when you watch these things like the pageants and these shows, and people are like, what do you want? World peace. I want to make it a better place. But quite simply, yeah, it's I want to do my part to make the world a better place. That's the dream. So whatever I do, whoever I come in contact with, I want them to live fresh. I mean, and that's the simple piece. That's the dream.
We are living fresh. We are living fresh, and it's all in the kitchen. All in the kitchen, I tell you.
Good things happen from the kitchen. Think about it. When you have a party, where does everybody go when you have a party? They all go to the kitchen, right? We got conversation. Yeah, we got conversations that are going. So I'm we're creating through conversations. We're creating these flavorful masterpieces. But think about it. Everybody who's watching this right now, whenever somebody has a get together or party, we come in and the first thing we do is whoever's hosting, we go to the kitchen to see what's going on. We follow our nose to smell. And next thing you know, there's like 10 people in there and there's conversations and like the knows are going on. And hey, have you seen this? Have you tried that? Can you give me that recipe? I mean, and there's all this support and collaboration going on. So I always will share with people, like when I talk about my name, I'm on stage, I'm like, hey, yeah, my mom named me Frank Cornelius Kitchen. And I'm like, man, it's like named after the kitchen. My initials are FCK, which means I need one extra letter. I tell people all I need is you and an opportunity to shine. But I go, I'm like, man, Mom, why did you give me this name? And then I started to recognize I'm a fundraiser, a coach, and a keynote speaker. So my initials represent exactly what I'm doing now. But most important, she goes, Frank, I want you to know or understand where you came from, who you are, and where you can go. So you start to look at all the letters in my name. Fresh is inside my name. What I do as a profession is inside my name. And I'm named after my dad, my grandfather. And then I tell people the kitchen is everybody's favorite room in the house because something is always being produced there that people desire.
Yeah. Wow. How can they find you on social media, sir?
Well, there's only one of me. So the big one is just to go look up Frank Kitchen. There's no S on it, just one room, just one of me. So just one. So mostly I'm hanging out on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just look up Frank Kitchen. So at Frank Kitchen, and you'll find me. You do a Google search, Frank Kitchen. You see this guy looks like Reggie Miller. That's me. Just go ahead and log in, and then you can follow what I'm sharing.
Y'all, oh my gosh, I've learned so much in this interview. Thank you, Frank. We live fresh in the kitchen. Is Frank Kitchen. Thank you for being with us today.
Michael, thank you so much. It's been great to be here.
Yes, sir. Back in a moment.
Next, Jonathan Jones stops by to chat. We'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? I'm Leon Frierson, former cast member from Nickelodeon's All That and co-host of the Prime Nostalgia podcast. And I'm here to ask you to join me in watching the Michael Finkley Show weekly on YouTube. Now, I've been on the show, so I definitely know it's a platform where you'll be educated, informed, and inspired. Now, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on YouTube.
Looking for a mentoring program for your young male between the age of 6 and 18 in Columbia, South Carolina? Well, look no further. Big Homie, Little Homie Mentoring Program is the program for you. Under the leadership of Mr. Jamal Stroud, Big Homie, Little Homie is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that caters and mentors at-risk youth that come from single-parent homes. The organization caters to young males between the ages of 6 and 18 within the greater Columbia area. The organization is devoted to shaping and molding their life into great men of society. Big Homie Little Homie organizes male gatherings, discussions, and even educational assistance devoted to guiding and leading them into a positive light. Making a positive attitude will help in transforming a life regardless of what is experienced in life. For more information on Big Homie Little Homie Mentoring Program, visit our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
I'm just not college material. I am tired of school. I'm just not sure what I want to do after graduation. Sound familiar? Welcome to the Prelo Educational Institute. Our focus is to help young people prepare for life after high school. It's never too early to start planting the seed for education, career, and life overall. The Prelo Educational Institute is made up of the following 2 products. The first product is the book titled I Ain't Going to College, A Guide for Life After High School. This is the first book of a series that introduces middle and high school students to a young man struggling to find his way and make the decision about whether attending college is the right choice for him or not. The book has questions inside, and a supplemental curriculum can also be purchased. The newest product from the Prelo Educational Institute is our online course titled Preparing for Life After High School. In this course, students will learn about decision-making, self-confidence, accountability, self-awareness, and many other topics that speak to social-emotional learning. Young people will read a story about a young man who never gave up no matter what the circumstances were. The course is interactive and has questions, quizzes, and video. Do not wait until your child or student is a senior in high school to start planning. Enroll today. To enroll and learn more, please visit www.speakerauthormarlowe.com.
Everybody, welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Now, our next guest, he assists student athletes to successfully succeed beyond their degree. He is none other than Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, thank you for being with us today.
Michael, thank you so much for having me. I love your energy, and I'm glad to be here.
Oh, sir, thank you for saying yes. We met, I think it was via Clubhouse, correct?
Mm-hmm. We met via Clubhouse, but I've definitely seen your work via LinkedIn long before.
Oh, wow. Ooh-wee. Blushy moment. Thank you, Jonathan. We really appreciate you at the Michael Finkley Show. So, Jonathan, what did sports do for you growing up?
Sports taught me character. Sports taught me leadership. And even outside of that, I mean, it always challenged me to not quit. And the reason I say that is because, nobody wants to be last in anything. If we're talking about reading a book or, the lowest grade in class. So I can credit sports for teaching me all of those attributes while getting those lessons in real time.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What kind of sports did you play growing up?
So growing up, I played every sport my older brother Freddie played. So I attempted t-ball. I couldn't hit the ball ever. It was difficult. Then I said, okay, well, let's try football. I didn't have the natural anger to tackle people. So then basketball came around, and eventually, I found a home there because I would always just put forth all of my energy and just sacrifice my body. And then, hey, it served me well a little bit. It served me well.
Oh, wow. See, I get a little envious at times when persons talk about their sports background and playing. I did it for fun. I never did play for like a rec or high school or anything like that. Wish I did at one point, but definitely that experience brings you to present day within your own business, your own consulting firm, which is truly amazing with student athletes. You focus on three things in which I love to hear about, from your perspective about personal development, professional development, and also mental health. Why these focuses when talking about student athletes?
Well, I think it's really interesting because it seems like they're three separate things, but ultimately we add those three together and then it creates the holistic approach. Mm-hmm. So the first reason I say the personal development aspect is because we all need to identify who we are personally as a person, remove the sport, even remove the degree. So that's why I focus on that first and foremost. Then we go to the professional development aspect. And I know you know about this, Michael, just making sure that career readiness is something that's prevalent, making sure they understand, okay, you're in college and you're doing these assignments and you're doing this work so that when it comes time for you to step into your career, there's certain things that you can have in place, certain disciplines, certain strategies that can cross over into the professional arena. And then the mental health strategies, just based on the fact that so many people around the world are struggling from a mental health perspective. And it's just because either they don't know who to talk to, they don't know how to identify some feeling that they might be having. And then when you're in this place, and next thing you know, you're burnt out, or next thing you know, you're upset and you're snapping at your friend or your mom or your dad, whoever it might be. But helping them hone in on all of those makes us the holistically developed individual. So that's why I focus on all three of those, because I think they're all essential for us to truly excel and be successful.
That's amazing, the holistic approach, because you don't think, when you think of sports, student athletes, you don't think of the holistic side, right? You think about the roughness, the toughness, go out and get it all you got, that kind of thing. So kind of just softening down a little bit for them and making them realize, hey, let's think about these things first in order for you to continue on to the next level, which is truly amazing. Not only do you do this within the sessions or what have you and speaking with students, but you have your cool podcast as well. Please tell us about it.
Certainly. So Beyond the Ball, ultimately, Beyond the Ball was certainly the start of me beginning to work with student athletes, because I was just trying to identify a place where I can really serve and be a resource, because I was the individual who struggled with all of those things. So then we started doing Beyond the Ball, and the three-prong approach there would be focusing on stories, strategies, and successes to help student athletes succeed beyond their degree. So I've covered topics ranging from talking a little bit about LinkedIn, talking about relationships, and then bringing on different individuals ultimately to interview them and let them share their sports story or their connection to sports, just so that we began to open the lens or open the perspective to where student athletes can see what else they can be in addition to someone who played football, someone who played baseball, soccer, etc. And Michael Saha said someone who played as opposed to being a football player, because it's a difference when you separate the role from the individual.
Ooh, now that's deep, sir. That's all up in the red Kool-Aid. That is deep. Wow. And it reminds me of, I remember I interviewed Marcus Ogden, former NFL player, and now he's a business consultant. So he talked about his transition from being that player, right, to having the other option in his career, right, to be that business consultant. A lot of persons don't see it that way, right? They just see the focus of sports and they see the focus of money, right? But definitely you can transition. You definitely can. So Jonathan, I must say again, you are just a jack of all trades. You speak in front of students, you do sessions, you have your cool podcast. I'm not missing. Oh yeah, you're an author. You're an author as well.
Yes, sir.
Talk about your publication.
So it's an interesting story. I'll be brief. So my father was writing books right when I graduated, 2006. Had no idea my dad was doing this. Then he said, "Son, you should write a book." I said, "Dad, I don't think so." Long story short, and $5,000 later, okay, he got me to invest in myself. Yeah. So I worked with him. He helped me to launch my book, helped the book become a bestseller, and the book is entitled "Process: 14 Surprisingly Simple Behaviors to Skyrocket Millennials to Success." So it's a self-help book. And it focuses on helping individuals through different strategies like be educated, be positive, be professional. So everything that I'm doing now, that was written before, and that kind of paralleled over into the work I'm doing now as well, except mainly with student athletes.
Amazing, amazing. And again, I'm glad that you're an advocate for them, because sometimes they get left behind as well. So within all your success, with all that you do for this population of students, what is next for your company? But it's also what's next for you?
Yeah, excellent question. Excellent question. So now we recently connected a partnership with West Virginia University. So their football team, I'm teaching. Thank you. I'm teaching their football players in partnership with their fifth quarter program. So it's the program helping them after they graduate. But the program is called Podcasting for Players. So showing student athletes how to connect those things that we talked about earlier, right? The career readiness, the professional development, the branding aspect. So showing them how to start their podcast, which will be foundational for them to be positioned, not necessarily for them to generate revenue, but ultimately for them to be positioned for the next phase of their life. Because when you think about podcasting, when you think about having a talk show like the Michael Finkley show here, there's a lot of things that go into it. There's a lot of back end stuff that people have no idea about. But when they understand the workings of the process, now this allows them to be able to problem solve, how to verbally communicate, and then also communicate even more effectively writing. So these are all tools that I'm intentionally pulling out to help them be set up for career success, not just sports. Because sports, yes, continue to play, great. If you don't continue to play, great. But we want to just have this in place to where you're getting tools, you're getting strategies, and you're getting hands-on things that you can apply into your life for the rest of your life.
For the rest of their life. They're set for the rest of their life. And it's all owed to the knowledge of Jonathan Jones. How can they find you on social media, and how can they purchase the awesome book of yours as well?
Yes, sir. JonathanJonesSpeaks.com is my website. That's where you can find out everything about me. And on most handles, I'm Jonathan Jones Speaks. On Twitter, it's Jonathan J Speaks. They made me shrink it down, Michael. They made me shrink it down. But yeah. Yeah, I would just encourage everybody just to connect with me on YouTube, and it's Jonathan Jones Speaks, because we're pumping out the most content there. But Michael, I want to say thank you for having me and allowing me to grace the stage with you.
You are very welcome, my sir. You're very, very, very welcome. Again, thank you for saying yes. Awesome information, you all. His information is in the description below. Y'all, he is the student athlete guru himself. It is Jonathan Jones. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Thomas Anthony Jones. You might know me from Good Trouble or This Is Us. I encourage you to watch The Michael Finkley Show on Roku TV and on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe.
Calling all TRIO, Gear Up, JAG, and other college readiness organizations. Hello everybody, it's Finkley with the Finkley Experience. I am here to offer you information about our College Readiness Cohort Series. This College Readiness Series includes college applications, SAT, ACT prep, scholarships, financial aid, the mental mind state, HBCU versus PWI versus technical colleges, and so much more.
You know, this is helpful because it's actually like making me change my college plan.
Really?
If you're interested, visit our website, thefinkleyexperience.com, or just email us at michael@thefinkleyexperience.com. We're looking forward to working with you.
What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Toby. You know me from Sister Act 2, Mr. Oh Happy Day, and the hit R&B group City High. I'm welcoming everybody to join and tune into the Michael Finkley Show on YouTube and also on the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. Don't forget to subscribe.
So I was just sitting here having a conversation, man, and I had to spit this out and I had to give it to y'all. Something I just want to say is, a lot of times in life, you're so busy playing catch up that you never can stay ahead, and that's why some people just can't get to where they want to go, is because you always being inconsistent, always falling off and falling back on, falling off and getting back on, falling off and getting back on. So therefore, when you fall off, now you're behind. So when you get back on, instead of you being ahead and being closer to where you want to be, you have to play catch up first to even get to the same place. Then you got to go back, and now you're ahead. But when you fall off, now you're back at square one. And that's what happens a lot of time. And even with myself, is a lot of times I remember when I was just, even with the gym and with doing my routines and stuff like that, I would always fall off, fall back on, fall off, fall back on, and then my body would be in a constant change, abs, then no abs, and stomach, then flat, then it just always changed, because every time I did good, then you fall off, and then when you fall off, now you're back at square one, so now you gotta start all the way over. So now I'm hitting the gym and I'm getting back to my routines and stuff. So now I'm feeling my best self, I'm looking better, and then I fall off again. So all this time, I'm not even being where I can be at my highest self, because I'm so busy playing catch up. And you don't want to keep doing that. You want to stay ahead when you get ahead. You don't want to keep playing catch up, man, because as long as you playing catch up, you will never be able to stay 2, 5, 10 steps ahead of the game. You want to stay ahead, so as you're moving forward, you just keep moving forward. You don't want to be looking backwards. It's so easy to look backwards, and it's not easy to look forward, because you don't never know what can jump in front of you. But at the end of the day, you just got to jump in front of that obstacle and keep your head straight forward and keep moving forward. You don't have no time to look side to side. Everything is about being forward. Everything is about being committed. Everything is about staying ahead. Remember, hey, no time to waste. Let's not play catch up. You got to stay ahead and keep moving forward.
Hi
everyone. It's your girl Trinice from American Idol, and I am encouraging you to tune into the Michael Finkley Show on Roku TV and YouTube.
Next Finkley, we look back at guests from season 1. What have they been up to? Jamal Stroud, Alderman Vernon R. Matthews, and Marlo Prelo. On the next Michael Finkley, Friday. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. What did you learn? I was going to ask that question. What did you learn? Thank you so much, Frank and Jonathan, for being with us today and sharing your stories, your wisdom, your knowledge in your own words. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate you here on the Michael Finkley Show. On Friday's Finkley, in the last show of the season, y'all, we're bringing back guests from season 1. We're still reminiscing, not forgetting where we come from. So we have Jamal Stroud, Marlo Prelo, and Alderman Vernon R. Matthews. Y'all, another show you don't want to miss. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Michael Finkley Show, ring the bell for notification. We'll see you an email saying, hey, new content's uploaded. Please listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And for up-to-date information about what we do here on the Michael Finkley Show, please listen to us on our website at michaelfinkleyshow.com. Y'all, season 2 was great. Awesome, more than 50 episodes for this season. Awesome guests, awesome viewers, awesome subscribers. Y'all rock, and we're gonna bring it back to you for season 3. See you next time.